Here at Nike, and we're about to introduce the kids at Wyvern to Alberto Salazar, who's the head coach of the Oregon project. So Alberto, why don't you just say hello to the kids and tell them a little bit about yourself.
Hi kids, welcome to Oregon. This is Alberto Salazar speaking to you. I'm the head coach of the Nike Oregon project, and this group has about 8 or 9 of America's best young distance runners, and 1 distance runner from the UK, Mo Farah, and 1 from Ireland, Kieran Leonard. It's great coaching these athletes at this international level. Having Mo and Galen, I've got the best runner from the UK and the best young runner from the United States training together. They're a great training combination. They've run together for the last year, and they both improved tremendously. Mo's a world champion, and Galen set an American record last year. The 2 of them had 2 of the 4 fastest times in the world at 10,000 meters last year. So it's great to have 2 runners that train together all the time to be amongst the best in the world. So it's a real privilege to coach them. They train very hard. Mo and Galen both run about 17 miles per day. It's about 120 miles per week. In addition to that, they're lifting weights and working in the gym 3 times a week at least. Every day they're working on their flexibility and core training, core strengthening techniques. They have to watch their diet. They get massages 2 or 3 times a week. So it's a full-time job. A lot of people think that athletes have a lot of free time, but between all the training that they're doing and the rest that they need to get, and the therapy, it's a full-time job.
So it's November the 11th today, so we're coming off of the World Championship year, now building up for London and the Olympics. Can you tell the students at Wyvern where Mo and Galen are in their cycle, and perhaps where the peaks are supposed to be this year, and some of the things about the whole year in the training program?
Mo and Galen both took 2 weeks off. The last 2 weeks of September was their vacation, so there was no training at all. They could do whatever they wanted. And then they started training again on October 1st, and we increased their workouts gradually in order to make sure they didn't get injured. They're now back up to over 100 miles a week in their training, and we'll keep increasing that over the next month. By December 1st, they'll be up to their highest volume of training of 120 miles a week. They're going to be running a short indoor season. They'll run about 3 or 4 indoor track and field meets, culminating with the World Indoor Championships in Istanbul, Turkey, on March 9th to 11th. And Mo and Galen will both be running the 3,000 meters there. Indoors, the distances are always a little bit shorter on the distances. But they'll run then, and then I'll give them a week off, a week to 2 weeks off, and then we'll start building them up for the London Olympics. And my theory or philosophy is that I try and peak the athletes twice per year. So we always try and peak them at the indoor season in March, then they take a break, and then we try and peak them again for August for the World Championships or the London Olympics this year.
The Oregon project is renowned for its use of sports science. Can you talk a little bit about what aspects or disciplines of sports science the Oregon project uses, and your thoughts about some of those?
We train very hard in the Oregon project. I'm a former world record holder in the marathon, and I trained as hard as anybody did when I was competing 30 years ago. But I've learned that just training hard nowadays isn't enough. We are competing against a lot of the greatest athletes the world has ever seen, and the East Africans, the Kenyans, and the Ethiopians. And there's so many of them, these young runners that at the age of 7 or 8 years old are often running 10 to 15 miles per day back and forth to school. So we're competing against such talented athletes that I feel with the few that we have, and I've only got 2 runners, there are really only 2 or 3 runners outside of Ethiopia and Kenya that can compete at the level of Mo and Galen. And so since I've only got a few guys like that, I've believed that I got to do everything right. I got to use science, modern technology, and sports medicine to keep them healthy, to get in the extra training and do everything just right. Because if they get injured, we really don't have others of their caliber that can compete. So we embrace sports science. Here at the Oregon Project, we've got exercise physiologists working with our athletes. We've got sports psychologists working with our athletes. We have the best doctors in the Portland area working with our athletes to keep them healthy. We use things like underwater treadmills where they can run on an underwater treadmill and get in extra training miles, but without the impact of running outside. We use what are called Alter-G treadmills. It's an anti-gravity treadmill where they can run on a treadmill and we lower their weight. So we use a lot of cutting-edge technology to make sure our athletes can train at the highest level and stay injury-free.
But obviously sports psychology is the most important sports science, right, Alberto?
Yeah, we're still searching for good sports psychologists. We've had a few problems there. But.
Okay, so one of the themes of the Adopt Olympian program at Wyvern is trying to help the students be the best they can be. What do you think the students can learn from Mo and Galen in terms of being the best they can be?
I think that the lesson that all of us can learn from Mo and Galen is that they've set goals for themselves. And once they've set those goals, they come up with a plan with me on how they're going to achieve those goals. And then they really concentrate on doing everything possible to ensure their chances of achieving that goal. So they don't leave any stone unturned. And so it's everything from diet to sleep to recovery to all the different types of training that I've already mentioned. But they're very thorough in everything that they do. And likewise, I think that's what the students need to do, is that they need to decide what they want to do with their lives. You know, what sort of jobs that they want to get later in life. And as a result, once they know what that goal is, then they got to prepare themselves as thoroughly as possible. And you really can't hope that things just luck your way, they just fall into your lap. You have to work for them. So you have to set a goal, then you have to come up with a plan, and then you got to work wholeheartedly and never back off of doing everything possible to achieve that goal.
Perfect. Thank you, Alberto.